Olá a todos! It is 5 o'clock on the dot, so I think now is as good a time as any to begin our live stream. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me, and let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from, why you're learning Portuguese. I will just get a thumbs up from my team to check that everything is streaming correctly. Awesome. Okay, so thank you for joining us for another student interview, and I've got a really good one for you today, so I'm really looking forward to telling this story. It is so nice to sit down with my students who've made really amazing progress with their Portuguese conversation skills and is really enabling them to live the dream here in Portugal, making friends, having a good time. So I am back with my student Math this week, and we're going to talk all about their journey, where they started, where they're at now, but most importantly, how they got there, because we really do want to encourage as many of you people watching to start learning Portuguese, because it really is possible, regardless of your age, regardless of whether you've tried it before and failed. It's really going to make a difference to your life here in Portugal, as this story is going to show us. Oh, we've got Scott, we've got Sharon, we've got some pros in the house. We love it. Great to see Joy, Michael, David, Nicole, Shannon. Amazing. Really good to see so many people from all over the place. Brilliant. So if you're tuning in, you probably do already know who I am. But for those of you who don't, my name is Liz, and I host the YouTube channel Talk the Streets, that teaches practical Portuguese in plain English. But I'm also the creator of the Portuguese Pro program, which is an online course and community that takes you from saying your very first words. So we are talking complete and utter beginners here. Your very, very first words, up to having your first conversations with native speakers. And that is how I met Math, okay? A wonderful student I can't wait for you to meet. So I'm going to go ahead and add them to the stream so that we can hear their story. Hola, Math. So great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Doing very well.
Awesome. So, Stace, early with a comment here from Stace that you've been such an inspiration in the group. So she can't wait to hear today's conversation. So let's start from the beginning. I know you very well. I know who you are and why you decided to learn Portuguese. But for everybody in the audience who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you ended up choosing to learn Portuguese.
Sure. Well, thanks, Liz, for inviting me first. I moved out to Suajo in northern Portugal last April. And learning the language was integral in that process for me. I've never been hugely fantastic at learning languages. I thought that I wasn't sort of naturally gifted in that department. I've been living for 20 years in Brighton, a seaside town in England, but moving to Portugal and learning the language for a number of reasons, really, as I say, to integrate with the local community and a respect for people and Portugal as a place. And also, I think I was very keen to contribute to the community, and to be able to do that in a rural area such as this. It's essential for me to know Portuguese. So yeah, I think that's a little bit about my background, I guess.
Excellent. So training Brighton for the north of Portugal, quite a different vibe. But yeah, you're right. The more remote you go with the places that you go in Portugal, the more important it is to learn Portuguese. So take me back to when you were first starting to learn. What were the kind of main obstacles or challenges that you came across? Because I'm sure some of the people who are listening today who are, nervous to get started, or maybe they've tried to get started and haven't found it easy, I'm sure they could relate to it. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that when you got started.
Yeah, I think initially I was quite intimidated by the different sounds and the pronunciation. It wasn't a language that I was familiar with at all, Liz. I had some Spanish and some French, but Portuguese, that really took me back, really, in terms of how different it was, the sound. And initially, I just thought that was, yeah, as I say, quite an obstacle for me. But obviously, with the course and with your assistance and Eduardo, that was something very, very early on that we worked on, and that confidence really that I got from that spurred me on to study even harder, I think.
Yeah, talk to me about your inner critic, because I'm sure those are two words that lots of people can relate to. It does feel overwhelming and scary at the beginning, and sometimes your own worst enemy can be yourself, right? How did you encounter that, and what helped? Because I'm sure lots of people have that as an obstacle.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, I've got a very loud inner critic, and I do suffer from imposter syndrome and all of those things that are really unhelpful, and I've never really understood why they are so loud in our heads. And I guess you have to have a belief that you can actually do what you're trying to do in terms of learning the language. And initially, I don't think I had that, Liz, really. I did think that, I think, and I still have it up to a point in terms of that you can't really do this. This isn't, it's a bit late in your life for this. And yeah, I think I just felt a little bit like I'm not sort of going to be able to do this. But I was quite overwhelmed, I think, also by and I know we've spoken briefly about this when you started, there wasn't that much resources out there. Well, there's quite a lot now in terms of YouTube channels, etc. So I was quite overwhelmed by that as well. So when I started with the course, it gave me a structure in terms of how to actually address that, and that helped my inner critic in terms of taking it more structured, in a more structured way, if that makes sense. I don't think I expressed that very well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this is one of the things that people can really easily overlook in a language learning journey, and that's confidence. And that's why we really focus on getting people to speak as early as possible, and tell you to just throw that perfectionism out of the window. Absolutely. And let's just have fun with this. And we've really seen your confidence grow in the months that you've been in the course. So if we fast forward to today, okay, so when you started, overwhelming, intimidated, scary, inner critic, very loud. Fast forward to today, talk to me about how you are now using your Portuguese on a day-to-day basis. What are you able to do now that you've overcome that?
Well, at the beginning, one of the things I wanted to do was talk to João and Felicidade, my neighbours. They're absolutely lovely, and they give me so much. They've got a garden, they've got an allotment attached to the property, and really I just wanted to talk to them to begin with, Liz, and I was sometimes avoiding them because I just didn't want, not because they're absolutely lovely, just because I just felt too nervous. And that quickly went when I joined the course, in terms of celebrating any small wins that I had with João and Felicidade, to the point now where I really enjoy going out. And although I don't totally understand everything that people are saying to me, there may be a strong accent here, I don't know, I've got nothing really to compare it with. But I went out this morning, and they're busy working on the land. I asked them what they were doing. Felicidade's planting potatoes and corn, and then I asked João what he was doing, and he said a bit of this, a bit of that, and I understood it all, and it was just lovely. And then he gave me one of these, which is a little, I didn't know what they were. They're a sort of little gooseberry, pronounced fisalish.
Yeah, exatamente.
I didn't know what that was, and I was thinking about it today. I went out on my bike, and I just thought how beautiful that was, that he gave me this small fruit that I'd never heard of. And then obviously I went to the supermarket, I could see them in there. But anyway, so talking to my neighbours on a daily basis, I can do up to. I mean, I'm not obviously fluent, but I can manage.
Yeah, we call it conversational. It's a much more attainable level to reach than
exactly. And to see their faces, to see how proud they are of how I've been doing, and taking the language seriously, and really hungry to learn more. I mean, I love it. And again, your course has inspired me to go on after and just to really kick on. So what else am I doing now? I mean, I think I've told you about, I love going out on my motorbike, trying to find
more remote areas.
Yeah, because I'm actually surrounded by mountains, surrounded by small remote villages. I love going up and trying to find little cafes, and then having a conversation with people. I would never have thought I would be doing that a year ago. And yeah, I mean, you never know what people are going to say to you, and that's how I think we'll talk about my hiking group as well.
Yes, we've got
how I came to discover them. So yeah, and I just don't feel, I feel I can do it, and it's empowered me to feel able, and to quieten the inner critic, because it's a waste of time.
Yeah, and instead you can think of the faces of your smiling neighbours when they
absolutely
attempting it.
Absolutely. And I remember asking where the toilet paper was at the supermarket. The woman and the woman sort of looked at me as if I brought gold medals back from the Olympics. She was so pleased that I'd made the effort to speak in Portuguese.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that toilet paper could bring such a feeling of pride? So just for anyone who has just tuned in, I know we have people tuning in all throughout the live stream. So if you have just tuned in, to catch you up, I'm here with my student Math, who is sharing their experience of learning Portuguese to give you guys the confidence to do the same. They started from absolute zero and are just telling us now how much they enjoy speaking to neighbours and shopkeepers and all sorts like that, even joining a hiking group, which we'll go on to talk about. So if this is something that you would like to do, you just need to go to talkthestreets.com/apply to see if you qualify for an application call, and we would love to have you come and join us inside the program. So if this is sounding good and you want to find out more, then that's what you need to go and do. So yeah, tell me more about your hiking group then. How did you come across them even? Because sometimes when you're in a community or a village, you don't even know everything that's going on around. So how did you get connected to them?
Yeah, so I was out on the motorbike, and I was up this really high mountain, and another guy on a motorbike was there as well. It was very odd. He's from Braga, Portuguese guy. He said how he liked my bike, and we got to talking, and I was able to say where I was from and what have you in Portuguese. And he was the one that told me, he asked me, do you know Teresa in Suaggio? And I said, I don't know Teresa in Suaggio. And he mentioned about this hiking group, which is sort of North Portugal hiking group. It's not just Suaggio. And so it was really from there, his recommendation that then I joined the group. I've been out for about 5 hikes now. And Teresa now gives me a lift to the hikes, because we have to set off at about 6 in the morning on a Sunday. And so it's a lovely sort of circle in terms of what I think about language, the power of those networks, and how they're a bit like those roots of mushrooms, and you can network and network and network. But if you haven't got even any language, you're not going to be able to do that. So even with a small conversational element of the language, I've been able to do that. And now I go out for 8 hours with a group of Portuguese people who are just obviously speaking Portuguese, obviously. And I can absorb all of that. And I absorb all, because poor old Teresa's got me in the car for 2 hours. So so she's helping me as well. So it just, that snowball effect, Liz, a little bit and then it just grows and grows. You have to make that first start, and that's what the course has supported me so well in terms of making that first start and pushing me and enabling me and empowering me. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, because if you hadn't had the conversation skills to talk to the original guy who came over, you know, it could have just been a like, oh, I don't speak Portuguese moment. And
exactly.
then it would you to the hiking group. We have some pictures, I think, of the hiking group.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm going to ask Claudia to put on screen. There you guys.
Oh, there we are. Yeah.
That looks like so much fun.
Yeah, amazing. And there's such an amazing group as well. I mean, it changes every hike, but they're lovely. They're just lovely people, and they're so welcoming. They're so wanting me to improve my Portuguese. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's beautiful. I am absolutely blessed to live in such a wonderful country and a wonderful place. It's just incredible. And yeah, it's helped me immensely. But yeah, I love these people. I don't know them that well, perhaps, but they're just excellent. And one of the things on the mountains is we have mariolas, which are these stone stacks, Liz, that guide the way. And I didn't really know what they were, and they're so important. So mariola is my favorite Portuguese word. I think I've told you that before, but yeah, a wonderful group.
That is definitely a good word. And I love that you can actually do something that you enjoy, a hobby, and, you know, really explore that there as well. That's really awesome. I love to hear it. So you also told me a really interesting story about a lady with a cow. Tell me more.
Well, I was on my motorbike, and I was going up a hill, and around here, as I say, there's lots of remote villages. And I came to one, and it really was in the middle of nowhere. It's called Ermeda, and Ermeda is the chapel, and the chapel was where obviously the rural community would meet, and over time, little villages appeared around the chapel. Anyway, I got to Ermeda, and there in the centre, a very small place, it was the chapel, and there was a lady traditionally dressed in all black. And she had with her the biggest cow I have ever seen.
I think we did have a picture of the cow. Do we have? There's the cow.
Well, that and they're called Kershana. That's the breed. Very majestic, beautiful animal. And the lady, I took my helmet off, and the lady looked at me, because obviously it's just a bit weird. Who's this guy? And she said, "Hola," and I said, "Mora and Svajo." Prazer, and we started talking for about 5 minutes, and it was beautiful. It was really amazing, and she had one of those faces that were just full of wisdom and life, and it was just incredible. And at the end, she went abrazos and went to give me a physical hug, and we had a hug. And I came back, and I just thought, wow, a year ago I was just in a flat in Brighton, feeling pretty miserable. I knew I was coming. It was raining. It was pretty miserable. Whatever. Anyway, and now I'm here, and it was incredible. And I told my partner Bettina, and she was very moved as well. It's very symbolic, and it's very important in terms of the transformation that I feel in my life that the language learning has given me.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's exactly what I love to hear, because you go from feeling intimidated, overwhelmed, very critical of yourself, to being brave enough to take those first steps, and this is what it can lead to. So I'm really impressed to hear you talk about that. So just once again, very quickly, for anyone who just joined, this is Math, my student, and we're talking about their journey with Portuguese. Really blown away with your progress, but also that's a huge credit to you and how hard you have worked. But we've just been discussing talking with your neighbours, joining a local hiking group, having lovely conversations with old ladies who are out walking their cows. So if this is something that you would also like to be able to do, just go to talkwithstreets.com/apply to see if you qualify for an application call with us and potentially join Math and I inside the program, which is a lot of fun. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So of course, you go through the course that is designed to take you from your first words to your first conversation. But we do things a little bit differently in terms of qualifying our students as graduated from the program. We don't give you a certificate. We actually want you to have a 10-minute conversation with a native speaker and send us proof of that, okay? We ask our students to do a 10-minute recording with a native speaker. And everybody's very nervous about it, but you did an amazing job. We are going to play a little clip of it, but first I would love to hear how that experience was for you, finding a language learning partner, because people say, oh, I'm not ready, I couldn't possibly, I'm really not ready to speak. Tell me, how was that experience for you, and what difference did it make to your Portuguese?
Well, I mean, it was crucial in terms of, I mean, I started back in April, no, a bit later than that, May maybe. And I think being able to, I mean, there's a number of platforms that you can find language partners, but I do remember your encouragement. And I don't think I would have done that in terms of without you and Eduardo encouraging us to actually to do that. And I was reticent at first, but once I got into it, it's brilliant. And I've had 6 or 7 different language partners, and some work, some don't, just as in life. I mean, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I've got 2 now that are regular, Francisco and Maki from Cascais, and Francisco from near me. And I still get a little bit nervous, but that's part of the fun. Part of the fun is challenging myself. And yeah, sorry, I've forgotten your original question. I don't think I've answered it very well.
To finding someone, you've already answered everything. That was a great job. Some people have been asking, and please do get your questions in for math. We will have time at the end to go through some questions. So if there's anything you want to ask, please pop it in the chat and we will try and answer as many of those as we can. Several people have asked when you joined and started learning. I think it was about 1.5 years ago.
Well, I joined 1.5 years ago, but I didn't do anything for a long time. I would recommend people just to get on with it, because I dragged my heels, Liz. I mean, okay, I was looking for visas. I'm making any excuse. Or I've got a contract to finish and all of this sort of stuff. But no, I didn't actually in earnest really, much to my shame, really start until April, May of last year. Okay. And then I had a couple of months off, really, when people were coming and visiting me from England, and I was speaking English. And so I've been doing it, I guess, in earnest about 8-9 months.
Excellent.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, that's about how long I've been doing it. I would say sometimes, I mean, you might ask me what advice I'd give to other people, so I don't know if I'm jumping ahead.
We'll come to that. Well, first, I think people should definitely hear a taste of your Portuguese. Now, right. This is with your language learning partner, Francisco. So again, it's a conversation exchange. You'll speak in Portuguese for a while, and then switch to your native language that you're teaching or helping the other person with. So this is your chat with Francisco. It's very important to know this is completely off the cuff. This is you guys sitting down and having a real chat, and this is such a different skill. This is the skill that everybody says that they want, but not everybody is willing to sort of put in the groundwork to get there, and also be brave enough to practice this on a regular basis. So I think this is a really awesome clip. We're going to learn a little bit about your life. So let's go ahead and see if the video works. We've also put the English and the Portuguese on the screen for you guys, so you can follow along with what's being said. Let's see if I can get the video to play properly.
E como é que é dia normal na tua vida?
Esta é uma grande pergunta, Francisco. Normalmente acordo a 6 da manhã por causa do galo do vizinho. E levanto-me 6:30, às 6:30. Depois bebo chávena grande,
Sim, sim.
de chá, com mel, com muito mel, sim. Durante o dia, costumo cumprimentar o João, o meu vizinho, e comer pão na padaria e estudar português. E tu, Francisco, como é dia normal na tua vida?
How awesome is that? And you're even able to crack jokes. You're even to say, well, I'm up because of my neighbour's cockerel, cock-a-doodle-doo at 6 a.m. This is so impressive because it's so hard to do. How do you feel when you realise how far you've come and can see that you're capable of something like that, which is like what everybody wishes they could do?
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Although obviously I cringe at it a bit, and I know
Everyone does. I still don't watch my own YouTube videos, so it's just normal.
I'm certainly no threat to Jose Saramago. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And that inner critic that we talked about at the beginning of the interview, lessons, and the more that I realize that I can do it, and also that nobody cares if you make mistakes. Nobody
That's a
cares.
huge one. Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares.
We all think everybody else is so much more interested.
Yeah, nobody cares about my life or that I'm learning Portuguese, and I'm aware of that, and that's fine. But it's good. It's good because that then calms you down a little bit and have some fun with it. Have some fun with it. And I mean, I told one of my language partners that went out running that morning, and I had to stop because my rabbit was hurting. And it was my knee that was hurting. And I went,
That's
no,
funny.
rabbit.
I've had those two confused before, joelho and coelho. Yeah, they sound very similar, but it would make more sense that your knee was hurting.
Yes. Yeah.
So
good.
The most important part, Mac, what is your advice for people who are watching this right now? I mean, we've got like 85 people here. They want to know, how do I do what Matt has done? What is your advice that you would give?
Well, and obviously I would say join the course, and the course is enough. That's my advice, is that it's all there for you. I think initially I was overwhelming myself because I was keen and I was really hungry, but that then became a bit of a problem. So have structure, and the course gives you that in buckets. What other advice would I give? I mean, obviously be kind to yourself. It's great that you're thinking of learning a language, and if you're in my demographic, that's really helpful to keep your brain active in terms of reducing the risk of dementia and other cognitive impairments. So yeah, there are so many reasons why it's so important. What other advice I would give?
We've got a question here. How many hours a week would you recommend to spend on learning? It's different for everybody. I always talk about little and often.
Yeah,
but in
definitely.
Your personal case, what works for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say little and often. I made the mistake even recently, still, of doing loads, and my brain just didn't take it in. It just can't, and I think. Yeah, but and that's a pattern that I've had in my work and my university, overworking, stressing myself out. And that creeps in because although I've got a new life here, I've still got lots of baggage from my old life and loads of habits that I want to work on. And so I would say if you can, do an hour or so a day, but do it in patches, maybe a little bit more if you can. I really enjoy it. So and what is learning? Learning isn't a textbook. Learning is listening to music, watching films with subtitles, a huge amount of array of different ways to actually absorb the language, read the billboards. You know, it's all there. I mean, everything is a learning opportunity if you're lucky enough like me to be living here. But even if not, with language exchange online, you still can. As I say, the course gives you that structure, and Mariola's the guides. It gives you that. So
I love that. That's a nice metaphor. Thank you. Lots of comments about how they're glad to hear about you doing a fail, right, with the mixing up needs.
Oh God, I've had some worse ones that we
Making
can't
friends with
repeat.
failure is probably also a good tip to not think about your fails as fails.
No,
but
absolutely, absolutely.
learning.
No, we know that the brain learns by making mistakes. So we just have a cultural thing about making mistakes. I get hot and embarrassed if I make a mistake still now. And it really is annoying because it's completely, it's just, it's irrelevant. So don't worry about it. Nobody cares if you make mistakes. People love to see you trying. People love that. I can't tell people enough the buzz that you get just from even saying I want a coffee and no sugar or whatever. Just that. The toilet roll one, I always remember that one, but it was just like how little can mean a lot. Obviously, I've come on since then, and I've actually gone to the doctors and the vets here, and I've used some Portuguese there as well. So, yeah, it's brilliant, Liz. Brilliant.
Awesome. Another question: is it easier to learn when I already speak Spanish, or is it harder because of possibly mixing it up? How did you find that? Because I think
I found it very difficult, and I still. I mean, I was saying estoy and estoy, and it was just driving me nuts.
Hard habit to break.
Yeah, the O sound was it was difficult, but you just have to it just happens. It depends how much you're gonna just beat yourself up about it, but don't. It happens, and
yeah, basically it's both those things, isn't it? It's a big help because you're a long way there in terms of grammar, but it's also a hindrance because it has a very different accent and it has some different grammatical structures. So I do have several videos on the channel about the difference between Spanish and Portuguese. If you just put in Talk the Streets Spanish, Portuguese, it should bring you up a few videos if any of the viewers are interested in that. So before we wrap up, I do have to ask you the one question, which is, would you recommend the Portuguese Pro program?
Absolutely, yeah, no, without hesitation. It's been fantastic, and I will continue to use the resources for as long as I need to. It's brilliant, and yeah, definitely.
You've been such a star student. It's
My
been
pleasure.
so amazing to watch your progress from those very, very early days right up to now, where you're just really impressing us continually. And I'm just so happy it's had such a big impact on your life.
Muito obrigado.
It's my pleasure. Prazer. So that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining me, Math, and also you guys. I know that you will have inspired a lot of people today. And if you also want to try this out yourself, you want to speak Portuguese well, to connect with the people in your local area, really enjoy life in Portugal to the full at the top of a mountain or wherever you happen to be, then please do apply to Portuguese Pro. It's just talkthestreets.com/apply. It takes us a few days to get back to you, but we do get through the applications as quickly as we can. So we would love to hear from you. So it was brilliant seeing you, Matt. I'm sure I will see you in the community very soon. But we will say tchauzinho to everybody. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao, everyone.